Ah,
Hey, everybody.
welcome to Close the Business. It's RC.
And I'm Juliana.
Oh boy, I did the deep breath because long day.
It's been a very long day. So this grandma right here has been kind of out of the loop because I've had the 2-year-old Aiden just running around and just, he's my love.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about what's been happening today.
You know, it's been the last couple of days actually have been crazy. So welcome to Close the Business. For those of you who are new, this show is a result of the questions that we get all the time. People say, man, how do you guys figure out what's going on? How do you know this happens beforehand? So what happens is at the end of the day, we'll sit together, we'll have a drink and we'll talk and be like, hey, what's going on? And we'll rattle off all of this great stuff. And Juliana has always said, why don't we need to be recording this?
We should be recording it. There's so many conversations we've had that I'm just like, I cannot believe that was not captured and we can't share that.
Yeah. And so we just decided, you know what? We're just going to flip the camera on in the evening for Close the Business and we're just going to talk about it.
So we haven't talked. So everybody understands, like, this is RC and Juliana coming together. We have been doing our own investigative work, doing our own research and whatnot. Now we're coming together going, okay, so what did you find? What did I find? Right. And then just comparing notes and having conversations about, what's important about what we're learning, what's not being said, what's being said that's true versus not true. So it was time for us to be able to say, you know what, we're going to just, let you guys in on the conversation we're going to have.
Yeah. And I mean, as you're here watching this, today is March the 4th. I think today's Close of Business really started over the weekend. Okay. Trump made the announcement about the strategic crypto reserve. So our dear friend CJ Constantinos of People's Reserve, you want to talk about people that are going to get tweaked about. He's like at the forefront of that because CJ, if you have not seen our Watchmen Brief episode with CJ Constantinos, he's what they call a Bitcoin maxi. He believes that Bitcoin, as it being decentralized, is the most pristine form of digital capital that there is. And, if you go back and watch that episode, you'll see everything. He gave a great education on the difference between Bitcoin and crypto. And so what ended up...
he calls Bitcoin truth money.
Truth money. He actually did a sermon at his church on truth money. Yeah, it was great. So what was interesting is that Sunday morning, Trump announced a strategic crypto reserve, not a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is what people have been pushing for. And he had included a lot of the cryptos in there that are suspect. Let's just be honest, whether it's XRP or Solana or ADA, Cardano, they're all sus.
So why are they sus?
So a centralized cryptocurrency means that a group gets together and they have, let's say they do 60 million coins. Well, they control them all and they decide, right? So the problem is that with a lot of these meme coins, they're basically scam coins. And what happens is we've seen a series of pump and dumps. If you remember the old penny stocks, right? We're seeing the same thing. Somebody will create a crypto like they did for Trump leading up to inauguration and Melania. Javier Milei is now in the middle of a mess.
So if a crypto is centralized, it's what you call sus because it can be controlled by one person.
Yeah, it literally can be controlled by one person. And so it's messy and it's an infinite amount. They can just add more if they want. The thing with Bitcoin that CJ talks about is there's only 21 million. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. That is what it is. Much like gold, right? Why'd you have to get the US dollar off the gold standard? Because you couldn't go to infinity with borrowing and lending when you have a fixed amount.
Well, when you're supporting the black market and the gray market with funds, that's not being backed by gold, you can go do whatever you want to do. But when gold is involved, all of a sudden the black market and the gray market will go away.
Right. So what Trump did, he announced this thing. And in the first message, he did not mention Bitcoin or even Ethereum. So we had to come back around. Somebody got in his ear and they said, you messed up. And so he said, and Bitcoin and Ethereum. Who knows how this is exactly going to look, but I think it's going to be a mess. Like a lot of things right now, just generally speaking.
Okay, so my question to you is this. How should we, the American people who understand that he's, saying on Truth Social, wherever he's saying it, that, here's these cryptos that I'm going to, talk about. Oh, by the way, I forgot Bitcoin. So let's talk about it, afterwards. And that it just like your spidey sense goes off, right? So how should we be responding to the situation?
I would honestly be questioning if we're going to do a reserve like that. Like, if there's that type of money, or you're going to do that thing, maybe you could reduce Americans' tax burdens or do what you're supposed to do
Yeah, but
with
no,
the
wait,
IRS.
no. What I want you to explain to me is we, the people, see the propaganda. Okay. So if Trump's coming out and going, here's the sauce, companies that we would want to work with. Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to send another tweet out there, and we're going to also do Bitcoin, the one that we would really want him to be part of. Right. So we, the people, should we not be suspicious about the situation where, he's already talking about, let's say, XRP, and we know that it's a centralized, cryptocurrency. Therefore, it can be really controlled versus we, the people, should be saying, look, if you want to do this whole cryptocurrency thing, great, but we want you to be like a Bitcoin situation where we know that it's transparent. We know that you can control it. We know that it's decentralized, and we know that it's a safer situation. Like, how are we, the people, supposed to respond to the fact that our president has been talking about sus coins?
Well, we should
We'll call
be,
them sus
yeah,
coins.
we should be very clear in pointing out, hey, this is suspect, right? Here's the challenge: is that the apathy, generally speaking, we didn't do it when the Trump meme coin launched right before inauguration, followed by the Melania coin. And what was interesting is that a trade was set up right before Trump made his announcement. And I would encourage people to look into what that trade is and how it happened.
But how many people actually really knew that it was happening?
Exactly.
No, see, that's the point where I feel like all these things are happening on the undercurrent. Okay, so CJ said that it was the Bitcoiners that really got Trump elected, right? Okay.
And he made promises at the Bitcoin conference last year.
Oh,
He made a lot of promises about what was going to happen. So, I mean, look, sure, you're going to get sold a bill of goods, right? What you have to be concerned with is what you said about it seems like it's a small group of people. So if you've never seen the George Carlin comedy skit where he talks about the fact that it's a club and you ain't in it, this is that part of the story. You have to understand that politicians or any of these people aren't your friends. No matter how much they want you to think they are, they're going to do what's in the best interest of them. And so you should be suspect when someone is speaking kind of out of turn like that, especially after a lot of work has been done to lay the groundwork for something stable and reliable to come out and just make crazy statements. Because whether it is Warren Buffett or Carl Icahn as an investor or Donald Trump, when they speak, the markets move.
Okay, so my question still stands. How should we, the people, be responding to the fact that we're seeing points of evidence that should be a concern?
Everybody, we need to point it out. Why is this happening? You should be taking what Donald Trump's account tweeted or truthed over the weekend and commenting or reposting and saying, what is this? Why is this happening? What is this mess? This makes no sense. Why is this happening?
Okay, so it's the yous and the eyes that are going to be pointing out. How many people are not going to, like, people are just so, like, they're ignorant about, like, they see the propaganda, whoever is speaking says it in a way where people, like, they gobble it up as it's truth, right? But they don't understand the backstory. They don't understand what's really being said and why it's being said and what's really happening, because the propaganda, what the media picture that they paint.
Can I just go ahead and bake it in now? Because we've done this so much over the years. I'll just say it because people that are close to us know I say this all the time. I have little to no faith that the majority of you will do anything about it, except roll over and let it happen, which is what you've done.
We can't.
Traditionally, you can't.
We can't.
You can't. But the question is, my faith is small that people will actually do anything meaningful about this. Now, tonight, Trump is doing his State of the Union address. He's addressing Congress. There is rumor that he's going to announce no tax on capital gains for crypto. Fine.
Which is what they needed.
Right, okay. Fine. But what you should also be announcing, Mr. President, is a full-on tax holiday or ultimo refund. Since you can just do these things arbitrarily, why not help people out who aren't in the game, right? We see the rumor now, the other rumors going around is that the IRS is going to cut their staffing in half starting tomorrow.
They need to go away, period.
Right? So if you're doing all of that, then why not just say, look, we're just going to give a ton back, right? Because we can. And you guys have been hit hard and hard-earned money. You should have that back because that's actually one of the ways to stimulate the economy, right? But
so
we're not economists, so what do we know?
So just as an American citizen, Okay.
Mhm.
They've recovered enough money from the USAID alone to be able to fix the issue. So I don't want the $5,000 or whatever it is. I want them to be able to say, we are now fixing homelessness. We are now taking care of the veterans. Like, I want to know that they're taking all of that money that they were wasting and spending, right? It's almost like, I don't even care about the credit card. Okay, we're 30 something, whatever trillion in debt. Great. Okay. We've got hurting people. I want that money to go there.
Well, according to Catherine Austin Fitts, if we just eliminated FASB 56, we'd find the 21 trillion that seems to be missing. So, I mean, yeah, that's another story for another time. You go back and watch Friday's edition of Close of Business, and you'll see how that goes. But I mean, so we're going to find out more tonight. It should be interesting to see what Trump says. We're not going to do an analysis because everybody is going to be dissecting this thing. Democrats are supposed to do something. Trump's supposed to talk about something. Rumor is he's going to do capital gains. He's going to kill capital gains on crypto. We'll see.
So I've been kind of unplugged, but I did hear about the whole behind the scenes, how they were pumping Zelensky the left and how they've gotten busted and stuff like that. Can you please unpack that for me? Like, what happened?
Okay. So let's give you a simple foundation. Wherever you fall on this issue of Russia, Ukraine, the war, whatever, let's just do a couple of simple things. Okay. Ukraine as a nation is a place where all dirty things go to get laundered, whether it is child trafficking, human trafficking, child pornography, money, whatever, drugs. A lot of stuff goes to Ukraine and gets laundered and comes out clean. This is why so much of your money as a US citizen was given to Ukraine over the last few years. Why did they keep perpetuating and going? As Juliana just mentioned, we've got veterans in distress, we've got homeless people, we've got rampant this, people can't afford anything. We'll get to that a bit later. The economy's been in tatters, right? It's about to go over a cliff, yet there's always money to send. And apparently, according to Zelensky, it's not going to happen. So Ukraine is a place where bad things happen, okay? And they go to get clean. Well, people in your government apparatus have a vested interest in that happening, okay? And Zelensky ain't the brightest bulb. Let's just be honest. No. And what's interesting is
it was
that
the tutu. It was cutting his.
Well, yeah, and he was playing the piano with his thing. So, but another story for another time. Zelensky's not the brightest bulb, and the fact that there was a skit. He's a comedian, by the way. The fact that there was a skit years back of him on his comedy show being the president of Ukraine, and it actually happened. Power brokers mock you. The people in control who are pulling the strings on these people, they mock you. They show you what's going to happen. So you have to understand the baseline of Ukraine. Okay? And some of the factions within Ukraine, you may be hearing this thing about Nazis in the Ukraine and the special police force. Well, if you look at Azarov, that group, and the history of Ukraine, you very easily see what happens. And here locally in Central Florida, Chris Hart was actually on his radio show last night, American Adversaries, talking about the problem that Putin has. And we're not saying that Putin's a saint or anything, he's far from it, okay? The problem that he has is that a deal was done when the Soviet Union dissolved that basically NATO wouldn't push up to the Russian border because they're surrounded.
Right.
And so basically they said, look, Ukraine being in NATO is a no-go because that would put you right on our doorstep. And people don't seem to understand that. And by the way, Bill Clinton did that deal. Okay, he was part of that structure and that deal, and was doing media this week with Piers Morgan and basically said Putin's been a man of his word on everything I've dealt with him on. So,
wow.
Yeah, I know, coming from a guy who's idolized, right?
That's good.
So you have to understand the foundation of Ukraine. Stuff's not going well, right? And however the media wants to spin that U.S. citizens should be supporting Ukraine against the Russian enemy, don't completely understand how this works. So let's start there.
Let's also start the reason why America hates Putin is because Putin is not part of the central banking system. So
correct. Okay. I mean, as much of a gangster as Vladimir Putin is, the guy's pretty slick. Like, but you have to understand too his background. Because this, so I'll give you a correlation.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take you off course.
Oh, you're fine. No, this is good. So if you want to draw a correlation in how these people work, take a look at Benjamin Netanyahu and Vladimir Putin. What do they share in common? They were both spooks in their respective governments. Vladimir Putin was high-level ops KGB. Benjamin Netanyahu was the same for Israel.
Bush,
right? Bush. So these know your foe.
Yeah.
Right? Like before you go off and you stand with Ukraine or Russia or whatever, take the time to actually understand and historically why this is an issue, because most Ukrainians identify as they're Russian.
Mm.
This is why there are disputed areas in Ukraine where people say, look, we're Russian. We just happen to live in Donbass or whatever. Okay. So there's a war. Putin invades, Zelensky fights back. There is a war. This has to be the worst managed war in the history of creation, or it is the greatest grift of all time. Because how can you be fighting a war and do a photo shoot for Vogue? I don't know. Why don't you ask Vladimir Zelensky and his wife? Because they did it a couple of years ago. Oh, forgot about that. Okay. Didn't see Putin doing any of that. Anybody else for that matter? Because in war, you're not supposed to do those types of things. But there was a ton of money, and apparently Zelensky has a house in South Florida, and so do a lot of other people. Yeah, man. Big money. Big money. No whammies. Big money. Big money.
Zelensky has a house here in the United States of America.
Well,
wait. No, I now need to talk about the fact that this is all theatrics. Okay. It's all theatrics. Even Trump from the podium has talked about central casting. Everybody needs to look up central casting. How many different types of, politicians have we had that you go, it doesn't look quite like the last one, central casting. So I'm sorry.
And it had, right. So if you're not hip to a money laundering operation, you've been watching one the last couple of years. We send billions.
Years?
Yeah. We send billions of dollars places. Yet the only thing that seems to happen is a whole lot of nothing that perpetuates more money.
And that is they're not taking care of the southern border. They're not taking care of the things they need to be doing. So if they've got the money to be sending it elsewhere, they've got the money to be able to take care of we the people here in America. Therefore, at the end of the day, they are not on our side. They're supposed to be protecting our sovereignty.
So here's the thing. You want to know how gangster Zelensky is? Here's how little Vladimir Zelensky thinks of you. He said, oh, the money that Biden gave us wasn't a loan. It was a grant. Smack number one to your face. Okay, that's your money. Number two, he'll come and address Congress. Not dressed appropriately, but hey, neither is Fetterman. So there you go. But he makes demands as if we're just supposed to help him and his efforts, even though they are horrid. Because now we're at the point, apparently he's ready to sign, but at the same time, he's got Europe saying, look, we're going to put boots on the ground and we're going to pull the U.S. into this because of Article 5 of NATO.
So I heard that the UK is backing him and that he had already solidified the deal with the whole minerals and whatnot before he even came to Trump. So that's number one. Number two, I also heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that he said in his native tongue, he called J.D. Vance a bitch.
Yeah. Well, I think he said it in English, actually. He just said it under his breath. So, okay.
So in the White House?
Right. So just taking context for a second, right? Wherever you fall on this, I just want you to think about it practically. Yeah. This dude is punking you, and you're okay with it. Just to be clear, you are okay with miniature, with actual size, punking you. Just saying. I'm looking at the camera because I'm talking to you. You're okay with this dude just treating you like a punk and just coming and running roughshod. And then you get mad because another gangster and co-gangster went gangster on him in the Oval Office. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Why not? Do you know in foreign parliaments they fight each other? Serbian parliament yesterday. They were going at it.
They were
throwing blows. So, okay. It got a little heated. Nobody threw any punches because Zelensky wouldn't have been able to survive that, right?
But it was all done for the cameras, though.
But for theatrical purposes, right? So
Central casting.
So, NATO is threatening to pull the U.S. into this thing. Zelensky's saying that he just wants to sign a deal. Everybody's like angling, trying to get as much as they can out of it before it's over.
It's going to happen because he already has a deal. The UK. Why does he need to deal with us?
Well, then he'll just renege on the deal with the UK because he really wants to deal with it.
See ya.
You can't. If you have no historical context, you won't understand central casting. That was the entire point of this exercise. But stop tribalizing these things. Stop it.
Stop being pulled by the nose for the propaganda and the story you're being told. because there's a story being said.
You know, you're right. And was interesting. Our friend Jeff George, who does the Lambo Diaries podcast, actually shared something today where he said, I stand with us, with the US. The most practical thing you can say. Thank you, Jeff.
Stand with the UK.
Ukraine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I stand with America, just like Jeff George does. Like, I mean, like, seriously, like,
Right.
You're going to spend that kind of money and money over there when we've got veterans and we've got no.
Not to, so exercising practical thinking. Jeff is very public on his podcast. He did time in prison.
Yep.
Right. He's lost the country took from him. He did his time. He paid his dues, and there's stuff he still can't do. Yet he's still making a statement that I'm with us and our country.
That's right.
If somebody who's basically been robbed of their civil rights can do that, you probably could too. Just saying. Right? Boy, we're on one tonight. Okay. Wow. Probably a little bit more than we bargained for. But
dude, but you just, I mean, like if that doesn't land, like that for me, like I'm an empath, right? So I feel that I get nauseated even when I say it with Amanya, we have conversations, I'm nauseous. I'm like, I can't even, like, the thought that we have spent that kind of money and sent that kind of money to people and it's been laundered, you know that it's been laundered. And it's not a left-right versus thing. They're both in on it. All right. So we're not saying that the right is all like, they're all playing a game. And I'm sitting here going, I'm angry. I'm angry for the American people that we have not just been robbed, but the chemtrails are still happening. GMOs are still in our grocery stores. They're still doing things that are against we the people. And we're sitting here going, we're watching central casting and we're watching the theatrics of these criminals and what they've been doing to us. Like at one point, I'm so mad. At what point do we say,
keep going. Keep going. You're on a roll. I want to find something.
No, just when we've got human trafficking, drug trafficking, gun trafficking, we've got the border open, we've got people that are in dire straits, we've got all this stuff happening to the American people with the people coming across, right? And this is all done intentionally. I think that's the thing that's making me so upset. And if other watchmen are not as upset as I am about intentional it's intentional. We got to call it what it is. Mm-hmm. Because if they can make it this crappy, they can make it really well.
So, as I like to say, and so I'm going to share.
We need to put our earbuds in?
No, it's fine. I think we'll be fine here. So, when you're talking about how they're doing their laundering, it's like Creflo Dollar dancing on the money. Whoa! I walk on this money. Woo! This is what's happening to your money right now. This is your money. Put some anointing on this money. You put something up there. You put something in it. Prosper. Prosper, I said. Here comes Creflo Dollar. This is how they're treating you. Imagine this is Zelensky. Imagine this is Zelensky dancing on your money. Look at him. Hallelujah. Hey. Okay, let me. Okay, this is it. Okay. All right. So you guys, that's how frustrating this is as researchers. Call balls and strikes here as best we can. We try to give context as best we can. But when you get frustrated to the point where you got to pull out the Creflo Dollar dance on the money video, because that's how you're being treated. That's how your resources, that's how your future, that's how your family, that's how everything you've worked for is being treated by the people you supposedly idolize or want to tribalize with on either an R or a D side. That's how they think of you. Every time that they get to extract from you, when you pay income taxes or any other taxes, or you overpay for something, or the IRS magically shows up and tells you owe $80,000, that's what they do when they get it. Money! And they start dancing. Just let that sit for a second, right? Yeah.
My blood is boiling.
As it should be for everybody else. If this doesn't upset you, I don't know what will. I don't know. Maybe you can watch The View. Who knows? Okay.
Anything else
Yeah,
I should know about?
so we got a
mean,
couple more here I want to hit before we go for tonight because I know it's a lot. All right. So we talked about where the economy is. Now, if you've looked at any of our work and if you go to SherlockExposes.com and you read from the headlines and you go back to 2022, you will see us talking about the exact thing that you see on your screen. Deutsche Bank, another grifter, sees risk of US dollar losing safe haven status. That's world reserve currency, right?
Right.
So we'll just take this part and you can find this whole thing if you go to Bloomberg, you can find this story. So the US dollar may lose its traditional safe haven status as global markets adjust to a new geopolitical order, according to Deutsche Bank. So Deutsche Bank's job is to make the market and to reinforce the dollar losing hegemony status, right?
So they're like intentionally.
Of course.
Like it's like they're letting you know. So everyone thinks, oh, Trump is making everything better and growing the United States. And it's like, no, he's the controlled demolition of what's happening here.
We'll get to that in a second on our second story, but you are so spot on. People need to understand who the players are and what their job is. We told you in 2023, you were going to go through pain. And we told you this pain was going to come like this, and that at best you are living in a recession right now, but in reality, you're living in a depression. And now Moody's, I don't know, what do you guys know? It's Sherlock. Well, Moody's and Fitch ratings and all these people are saying exactly the same thing we said 2 years ago. Okay, let me get off my soapbox. Let me read you the quote so we can.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. This is close of business. This is our stream of consciousness that you guys don't normally get. Okay. So, quote from Deutsche Bank. We do not write this lightly, but the speed and scale of global shifts is so rapid that this needs to be acknowledged as a possibility, said George Savallaros, the bank's global head of FX strategy. That's Forex trading or currency trading.
Thank you.
In a note to clients. It is hard to overestimate the scale of change taking place in global economic and geopolitical relations in a matter of days.
What, comma, intentionally?
Yeah.
Like, where's the comma intentionally?
So what George is basically telling you is that if your seatbelt isn't on, you're at the top of the roller coaster and it's about to go down, that you need to put your seatbelt on, you're going to fly out of the wagon. Okay. If you keep it on, you might survive, but it's going to be really bumpy and you're probably going to have a crink that you can't get rid of. So just get ready for that part, but make sure your seatbelt is buckled because you're about to get screwed by people like Deutsche Bank. Because that's what these guys do, right? It was like Jamie Dimon made a comment about crypto being a scam. And I jokingly said, says the scammer, right? Because JP Morgan has so much bad debt, toxic debt on its books that, we talked about this on election night 2022. We were in Atlanta for the Herschel Walker election. And we did a special report at midnight saying the Bank for International Settlements says like 81 billion or whatever or trillion is missing from balance sheets around the world, and they have no idea where it is. The Bank for International Settlements is the central bank of central banks. If anyone were supposed to know where the money is, it would be them. But it's interesting, the study came from them.
So one more time, Catherine Austin Fitts said that if they take the books, good.
If they, Catherine Austin Fitts says that if they would eliminate FASB 56, if the government, so the U.S. government basically, FASB 56 gave the U.S. government the ability to keep two sets of books. One you see and one you don't. The one you see says it's a ton of books.
Two sets of books, one that we can't see. Good, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So one you can see, one you can't, and the side that you're seeing says we're 21 trillion in debt. Catherine Austin Fitts' logic, and she's had this for 25 plus years because she was in rooms with people that said they were extracting wealth out of the United States because the US was over. Her contention is that if you kill FASB 56, you will find the $21 trillion on the other side because people are grifting. Now, take that for what you will and take it as you will. It doesn't change the reality of things coming from someone who has experience like she does. Say whatever you want, go watch her work and make your own determination, which is going to require you to do some work on your own. Okay. Am I good? Can I go to the next one?
Yeah, good.
All right. So this was the other story, and I think we're going to wrap with this one. From the Wall Street Journal, store brand supplier feels the pain as shoppers pull back even on lower cost groceries.
Yikes.
So we knew that, buying brand names today at the store is ridiculous. You're at the point where like, I can't do that. Maybe you make some exceptions because the taste and whatever, right? Some things you're not going to go generic on, but you start making decisions. When it gets to the point where the discount versions are still too expensive.
That means people are just not buying, period. Like they're like, okay, I don't need that. I'm going to eliminate that cost out of my life. I don't need that extra fabric softener. I'm going to cut that cost out of my life. You know?
In any scenario you had where you thought things were good or they were going to get better anytime in the near future, this should be the one that smacks you in the face like a wet fish. Okay. Meaning that it should sting and it's going to be wet and cold. Okay. It's probably going to stink. You have to understand that it didn't matter whether Trump or Kamala got in office. This was already planned anyway.
Right.
Trump is there because they want the demolition to be
Right.
controlled as possible, right? So there isn't a whole bunch of shrapnel flying around. That ain't going to happen. We have said for the last couple of years and ripped from the headlines and when we've been on different shows, the '08 financial crisis was one, maybe two sectors of the economy that hurt.
Oh, yeah.
What happens when all of them go at the same time?
Which is what we're looking.
You are in that chapter of the story right now, right on time,
Yeah.
I might add. We said, look, into 2025, it's going to get bumpy.
Do me a favor. Can you explain if and when they reevaluate gold
Mhm.
and they up it, what that's going, the ramifications of that? Like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Sure.
You want me to take this off?
Oh, sure. Let me take this off. So you guys can get that at the Wall Street Journal if you can bring yourself to read it because it's pretty painful. Okay. We talked about this, I think, a week and a half ago.
It's really important for people.
Yeah.
To know.
So you may have heard that the London brokerage house was having trouble delivering people gold. They were asking for physical delivery. And if you're trying to do that now and you have your gold stored somewhere or vaulted, it's taking them 10, 12, 14 weeks to get it to you because they ain't got it. Okay. They've been telling you they got it. They want you to loan it to them and they'll pay you interest because they ain't got it. A bunch of the gold is coming back into the US. And Doug Casey, some other economists, I think Andy Schechtman said something very similar. He was at a conference recently with Frank Giustra of all people, which is beyond me, but another story. If you don't know who Frank Giustra is, look him up for yourself and you'll see the Obama connections and that tells you where that's going to go. So you've got guys that are relatively smart saying the same thing. Why is all this gold coming back in? Because it's going to be audited. This is why you keep hearing about let's open Fort Knox. By the way, in the movie Die Hard with a Vengeance, they told you the gold wasn't in Fort Knox. It's under the New York Fed, which is why the terrorists in that movie blew up downtown New York so they get the money. The gold was in the Fed in New York, not in Fort Knox. Bruce Willis's character told you that and laughed about it because they always tell you.
Go to the stock market.
So
you know. Okay.
Right. So the thought is that they're going to audit gold and then Trump is going to revalue it. Okay. So what happens in a revalue? Well, gold could easily go to $10,000 an ounce. If that happens, it will wipe out all of your paper holdings. Everything, you're going to have hyperinflation and everything's going to be worthless. This is just the reality of the situation. Your pension, your retirement, your investments in the stock market, which in and of itself is a scam. If you don't understand the logic very simply, as a retail investor, that's you, Mr. Person, Mrs. Person, who work an honest job, make an honest wage, and then say, I need to save for retirement or I need to be in the stock market. You are getting the worst part of the worst deal at the worst time. That's basically what retail stocks are, which is why you have to be protected. And they tell you all these disclaimers because they have to protect themselves so you don't sue because you're going to lose, right? So all of that stuff, the value goes to basically zero. Think about that for a second. We've said for the last couple of years, modern economics, all these businesses and all the stuff you're invested in is all a lie. It's all inflated to keep you docile long enough for them to try to figure out how they're going to solve it, which the way that they would solve it is if they reprice gold, what they're then going to say to you is, well, now we have a US stable coin, a digital coin, a crypto or a central bank currency that is backed by gold. It's totally safe. We're going to give you 1-to-1 or whatever. It's all going to be good. That allows them to wipe away all the debt and all the problems we have, and then they get to control you.
And then it wipes out a lot of the middle class, right? All the pensions are gone.
Yep.
All the what people thought they were going to retire on is gone.
We have friends that are older. We teach a class. We teach a tech savvy seniors class. Our parents are at that age, and it pains me because I know that they're going to get wiped out.
So it's not financial advice, but I mean, if you don't have physical holding of your money, meaning in gold or silver or bullets or Rolex watches, like you got to be holding your money somehow.
Look, if you're not thinking parallel economy, and we rarely plug, but I'll do it now. So, Goldback sponsors Watchman Action, our nonprofit, and we actually became a distributor. They turn gold into money. So if you go to watchmanaction.org, you can find out more. If you go to thegoldbackstore.com, you can actually buy. Reason being,
Yep.
most people who prepare, they say, oh, I stack gold and silver. That's great. But what happens is that the people who are preparing for bad things to happen haven't thought through how those things are actually going to work after it happens. If you've got bars of gold, that's great, but what are you going to do with it when the thing actually happens? Either A, you're going to be shaving it off and trying to convince people to take gold shavings, or you're proposing that you're going to become the bank for your community. Okay.
So Goldback is, preempting all of that and says, okay, now we've made gold fungible, meaning we
Right.
can all use it,
Mhm.
and it's in denomination, so we can, when everything goes kaput, we've got
Correct.
this currency. But I always tell people, get on a trade and barter currency. Have multiple different types of currency. Bullets are currency.
Correct.
A Rolex watch is currency. You
Right.
need to have your physical in your hand currency.
Right. So if you're not thinking parallel economy stuff and your 10 block radius,
Must.
what's going on in your community and how you guys are going to function, because here's what happens. In a grid down situation or some other disaster, we saw it happen in North Carolina.
Yep.
If there is no social cohesion and order, people
Yep.
revert back to basically being cannibals. You want that to happen in your community? Probably not. You can actually stop that from happening by making sure there's preparedness, a plan, and there's cohesion. That does involve you getting to know your neighbors and
Yep.
putting together a plan, right? Because I'll let you know a little secret. You probably, if you're a prepper, don't think you look the part, but you do. People pay way more attention than you think. And if they see things that lead them to believe you're more prepared than them, they're going to start saying stuff to you like, well, I know where to go when stuff happens.
Right.
You don't want that. That's a whole nother lesson that we would teach in our Watchman Action community for members only. There's a reason for that. You need to be thinking about how you're going to deal with that. And if you are wealthy, we have wealthy friends that ask us about this stuff. We say, look, you have a choice. You can either be the benevolent leader who has thought this through, so when things happen, there's still cohesion and there's a bank and things can still work, or your head's going to be on a pike and they're going to take your stuff because they know you're rich. Just being honest.
So, Watchman Action, everything that RC and I have been doing is really about making sure that you've got a community of people that are prepared for when disaster happens, right? It's not just, sitting back and being idle, but it's being proactive, not reactive, because things are going to happen. It's just a matter of what is going to happen.
Correct.
Right. And Watchman Action is about how do we say, you know what? Our culture and what we want to see with America and how we want to see it progress, that's about us and what we wish to have happen. And how do we come together to make sure that that's what's happening? One of the reasons why they wanted to get rid of TikTok, right, is because there's a lot of information that's being passed between all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just happened to glance at, it was a TikTok video, but it was on a different platform. I don't know, whatever. And the guy was like, doing the whole look behind me, and the UN was there. And he's like, why are the UN here and we're building and like, so why is the UN on American soil? Like, so I'm going to question that because I don't trust the UN. I don't want them here. I don't even want to be in, part of that. Like no part of that. But we've got that here in the United States. We've got terror cells all over the place and they're training. We've got that. I didn't concede to that. Did you?
No. So if you are preparing, so let's say that you are studious and prepared and you've got your stuff together, then you are preparing for a world where you think, even though you won't say, so no, I'm preparing for the crazies. No, you're preparing as if you think enough people are going to be prepared as you. If you prepare that way, you will end up with your head on a pike. Think practically. Everybody that is better prepared is one less person that's going to try to rob you. Okay. Just being real here. Don't think that people are, well, I'm just going to deal in gold. Well, look, most people aren't going to be ready for that. If you spent your whole life in a system that follows Keynesian economics, don't think that a disaster is just instantly going to change their mind about how things are going to get done, or that they're even going to take gold in that form or whatever. People are going to crave some level of normalcy, which is why Homestead, the movie, reached out to Goldback and said, we want to feature them because it looks like money and it is gold and it will function like money.
Correct.
That's what people correlate. Think about that.
So my prayer is that people's eyes are awakened.
Yes.
That they see what is happening and that they start to awaken to the gifts that Father's given them, for them to be engaged in using those gifts in a community of people that can do what it is they're capable of doing. I always say that when Yahusha was walking the face of the earth, Jesus Christ is what you call them, Yahusha, it wasn't the government that was taking care of the people. It was the people that was taking care of the people, right? And we need to get back to that. We become so lackadaisical, right? And we're going, well, the government's going to take care of that program, and it's going to take care of that portion over there. And it's like, no.
You see how well the government takes care of things?
Yeah, no.
In North Carolina, and here and everything. You see how well they do with that, right?
Okay, so I sit back and I think all the people that were intense, and the people that froze, and the people that they just didn't go get, and the people that got wiped out, and the people's homes that are gone, their land is gone, the government's taking over their land. Like, if you don't have empathy for what's been going on and watching what this government, how they have been like responding to what's going on.
Yeah, California happened.
I'm sick to my stomach.
Well, now South Carolina's on fire.
Where all the 15-minute cities want to be, right? At what point do we, the people, go, hello, we see you? I mean, come on. California, all the fires, Maui and all the fires, is like, you want to bring the 15-minute cities? You're telling me that you're killing people? People are being killed. They're being displaced. Their houses are being wiped out. They're using weapons, the energy for the weather weapons to come after us.
The sheer ineptitude of the people that you would put trust in.
I don't think it's ineptitude. I think it's intentional. I think this is you. At some point, you have to stop and go, really?
Ignorant or complicit. It can only be one or the other.
At what point do you just go, are you really ignorant? Can you? Oh, you know what? I was listening to a video. Woman walks into this aviation place. The guys are the ones that are spraying the chemicals in the air, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, you understand that, you guys are doing that? And she's like, the pilot was like, you need to talk to our superiors or whatever. And she goes, okay, I appreciate that. But you understand that you're getting in the plane, and you're flipping the switch, and you're poisoning people?
Just following orders.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, you know what? If you're flipping the switch and you're partying, you can't sit there and go, oh, I didn't know.
That's why if you were an accessory to a crime, you were just as guilty as the person who committed it.
Like all the doctors and the nurses.
Just keep that in mind. If you're an accessory, you're an accessory to robbery, attempted murder, whatever, you're treated just like the getaway driver is treated just like the criminal who did the robbing.
Correct.
You're an accessory to the crime. Therefore, you did it with intent. Correct. Right? So you're as guilty as the next person.
Yep.
There's something to that people need to keep in mind.
My girlfriend the other day, and I'm like, if you understood what I do, you would cry like I do. I hope America wakes up, because we can't survive without all of y'all.
Like the Matrix and the Oracle.
That, it's like we're doing double time with everything that we can to make sure that you guys can do what it is that you're capable of doing. Because if we don't come together as a community of people, we're done.
We are done. Reminder, please like, and share this with
Yeah.
as many people as possible. Smash the like button, smash the love button, however you do it, and then share this with someone. Right? Repost it on your social media, send it to someone and say, you need to watch these two. Right? There's something else, man, but they've been spot on. Share the video, like the video, visit watchmanaction.org, check out everything
That
that's going on.
circle.
Or and if you want to get to the Watchman Action community, when you go to watchmanaction.org, you'll see a button that says community. Just go ahead and click on Watchman Action Community. It'll take you to our circle community.
What is the direct link? Is there a direct link?
It's
Watchman
it's watchmanaction.circle.so.
Okay, so Circle is a wonderful platform where we're building a community of people so that we can have conversations about what's happening and how we can do what it is that we're capable of doing. So we're very excited about bringing the community of people together so that we can, move the culture forward the way we wish to see it being moved.
Yeah. Also, tomorrow at noon Eastern, we'll be on with Ann Vandersteel on Steel News talking about the Watchman Action training. We're actually training in Southwest Florida Friday night. If you want details on that, you can get them at watchmanaction.org. And then, Juliana, you and Amanya have a special edition of Chopping It Up tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Elizabeth coming on tomorrow to talk about her story. So we're very excited about having her. So we'll be live tomorrow at 4:00.
Yeah.
Because on Friday we'll be in Sarasota.
Correct.
Getting ready for the training. So
yeah, it's busy. Awesome.
I'm so excited. We got a really exciting week coming up.
We certainly do. We certainly do. Thank you guys for all your support. If you want to support what we do and you understand the mission, go to watchmanaction.org. You can donate there. Please share this with everybody. Someone you know that you know this would make sense for, make sure to share the information with them so they can get to know us, so they can also support the mission. Every little bit that you do helps.
Yep.
Okay. We love and appreciate you guys. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right, y'all.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Love you guys.
Bye.